in darkness, two nerds set out on the quest to knowledge. Many goblins, hags, and even dragons stand between them and the answers they seek. Join Jeremiah and Rob as they crawl through caverns and challenge their own intellect, armed with only thoughts, wits, and rulebooks. These nerds will scour the lands for theories and insights never thought before. Will they rise to the challenge, or will they critically fail their lifelong quest? Welcome to Theoretical Insights of D&D.
Hi, I'm Jeremiah.
And I'm Rob.
And happy late Christmas to you guys.
Yeah.
We're recording this on Christmas Eve.
At 15 after 3 in the bright and dark morning.
Yeah, it is, what, negative 15 degrees out?
No, right now it is technically 8 degrees with a 15 mile an hour, a 15 degree wind chill. So it's, according to the weather app on my phone, it feels like -5.
Got it.
For those of you that don't know, or have not heard us mention it in the past, we are based in North Carolina, and we are not used to -5 degrees.
We are in what they're called the isothermic forest, I believe, or something.
The isothermal belt, whatever it is.
Yeah, basically isothermal means same temperature because we roughly don't have huge temperature differences as opposed to other areas.
Yeah, compared to earlier in the week, it was 65. Now it's 9, and then 4 days after Christmas, it's supposed to be back up into the 60s.
Yeah, it's our temperatures change drastically, but they stay in a steady rate.
Well, see, here's the thing that scares me about that.
What?
Possibility of tornadoes goes up drastically in weather like that when there's a massive increase in temperature, because that's usually bariatric. Yeah, bariatric pressure going up. So it just depends on whether there's any kind of cool air coming from the north with the warm air coming from the south. And with this massive winter storm, it's possible.
It's possible.
There's been twisters in January. I mean, we'll be sitting here recording the episode, have to hop off and be like, we got to go fight Twister Tide. He's trying to take my acorns. You never know.
Throwing hands with the tornado. I feel like I'm just hitting air. Anyways, speaking
Get
of
up there like Popeye. Whoa, blow me down.
Speaking of natural phenomena, we're coming back with the Druid.
Yeah.
We covered, what was it, Land, Shepherd, and Moon?
Yes.
And those are pretty standard of what you would expect with the Druid. But today we're getting into some more interesting takes on what is natural.
Yeah.
We're hitting dreams, spores, stars, and wildfire. And we're going straight into dreams.
Yeah, and we did a little bit of, not so much research, but we talked about it some. We talked about them some before we actually sat down to record, and there is a vast difference in between 3 of these subclasses compared to one. One seems to be more
It's got a strong aesthetic.
Yeah, it's aesthetically pleasing, not overly powerful in combat, and probably not overly powerful during gameplay itself. But for those that are really big into role play and that's really all you care about, and I'm fine to put up a okay fight instead of being like, hey, I really need to be able to help the party here. Perfect class for you.
Oh yes.
Kind of like most of the warlock subclasses. If you're gonna just do pure warlock and maybe Way of the Four Elements monk, not the strongest, but usable.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's
Don't bring
sour
up that
taste.
bad blood. So dreams, circle of dreams. This is
Not a square, but a circle.
Yeah. Not a rectangle, not a triangle.
Not a triangle,
Circle.
but a circle.
There's no point.
Rob Schneider, man.
Yeah.
He said it himself.
So this is more of like your Fey-based class. They have the circle of dreams. They come from regions that have a strong ties to the Feywild and its dreamlike realms. So right at second level, you get Balm of the Summer Court. And this one is, honestly, I love this ability. Basically, you have this font of energy that is a healing thing, right? You have a pool of Fey energy represented by a number of D6s equal to your Druid level. So at this point, you have a pool of 2 D6s. As a bonus action, you can choose one creature that's within 120 feet of you that you can see, and you can spend any number of those dice as long as it's equal to or less than half your druid level. When you spend them, whatever you roll them when you spend them, and the target gets that many hit points back, as well as one temporary hit point per dice used. So at this point, you can only roll 1d6 on one creature. So you could roll
Yeah, but
six.
that's still what is it? Healing. It's better than a healing word,
Yeah.
arguably, depending on what your wisdom modifier would be.
Yeah. Honestly, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it's really good.
Well, you also got to think about this. Healing
That's
word.
a bonus action as well, and that's within 120 feet of you.
Yeah, it is. I'd say it's better than healing word. However,
Just because of the range.
yeah, healing word also has range in its bonus action, but it has a lower dice, but has a plus your wisdom or charisma or whatever.
Well,
your
here's the
spellcasting
thing that
modifier is.
this is doing something that healing word does not do. Right. Number one, like we were covering, the range is 120, but it's also giving them one temporary hit die per dice spent.
Yeah.
So once you get up into the higher levels, say 10th level, and you can roll 5, that's 5 temp health along with 5d6 healing.
Yeah.
No, yeah, 5 temp health and 5d6 healing at 10th level.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a possible 30 healing, 5 temp health from 120 feet as a bonus action. And you get all the expended dice back when you finish a long rest. So this is not based off of your proficiency modifier like a lot of other things in 5e.
Yeah.
You can use them till you run out.
And honestly, I really like this ability. You get all your dice back on a long rest. I love that ability. It's kind of like a lay on hands, but for the druid.
Yeah, with a massive range.
Yeah, with massive range, and there's a bit more randomness to it, but I really... God, it's so good. Love it. And it's a bonus action. That's what I really like about it, that it's not an action.
Well, what I really like about it is it's not a reaction.
Yeah.
I prefer bonus actions over reactions. Like there's some stuff that's a reaction. It's like, dang, I wish it was a bonus action or something. Because here's the deal: when you're using your reaction to use something like what is it? I think it's what stars gets that we're gonna cover in a little bit. You know what I'm talking about. It's like, okay, well if they're next to somebody and they're trying to move, especially if for some reason they have the sentinel feat, just because they're trying to lock somebody down and keep them from moving. If they have that sentinel feat, they've already used their reaction to do what the stars is doing, and now they can't use their opportunity attack.
Yeah. That's one of those things. There's not a whole lot of things out there that take a reaction to use, but a reaction is very...
It's very important in the gameplay of 5e.
It feels almost like the rarest action you can use.
Yeah.
You know? Therefore, that's why there's not a whole lot of stuff. Like, you could... The shield spell comes to mind, Hellish Rebuke, and
counterspell.
opportunity attacks.
Counterspell, depending
Counterspell.
on if you have availability to it.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, healing word can get counterspelled. This can't.
That's true.
Yeah. So that's another positive to this, and I love it.
6th level, you're gaining Hearth of Moonlight and Shadow.
Now this one is useful for resting. Okay. Basically, you get a 30-foot sphere of magic that appears around a point that you pick at the start of your rest. While you are within this sphere, you and your allies have a +5 to stealth and perception checks. And any light inside that sphere, whether it's, the light spell, campfire, anything else, any light, is not visible from the outside.
Well, here's the thing, and that's kind of hinted at in the first little bit of a sentence run that they've got going on. In total cover blocks the sphere.
Oh.
So you're pretty much in total cover there.
You're not, they have to get into the sphere to target you.
Yep.
Spells, ranged attacks, even melee attacks. I mean,
But still, if you're making noise, they can hear you. So that's what that +5 to stealth checks is.
yeah.
And I like that. I honestly, I like that.
Also, it is technically invisible, so you can still see through it.
Yeah.
Just people can't. Well, they can still technically see in, but they're not going to see any lights.
This is obviously not something that we would want to use in the middle of the day because it's going to stick out like a sore thumb.
I mean, you could use it in the middle of the day.
Yeah, technically. It's just a 30-foot radius sphere of magic appears. I don't know if it's going to be like a mirroring effect.
I think it's more of just like a kind of like an illusion type thing, you know?
A mirage, if you will.
Ooh.
A big word coming out there. 10th level, you're gaining hidden paths.
This one's pretty good.
You can use the hidden magical pathways of some Fae use to transverse space in the blink of an eye. As a bonus action, you can teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space you can see, and alternatively, you can use your action to teleport one willing creature you can touch up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see.
This is either a double range Misty Step for yourself or a regular Misty Step for someone else.
Yep, and you can use it a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier. And you gain all uses on the finish of a long rest. Teleportation for yourself is always cool. Teleportation for somebody else, because this is playing into the psionics for the fighter class with the Psi Warrior, where they were able to move somebody 30 feet, but that's moving them instead of a teleport. There's no opportunity attack on a teleport.
No.
There's opportunity attack on if they're being moved.
That's true. Well, you could still have opportunity attacks on a teleport if you teleport them into a person who has, what was it, Polearm Master?
Something like that.
But basically the feat that says when someone enters your reach, you get an opportunity attack.
Is it Polearm Master or Sentinel? Sentinels when their speed becomes 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's Polearm.
It's one of those two.
Yeah.
Maybe a third that
I'm pretty sure
remember.
at this point most people have heard about the
Everything
Sentinel
has
Polearm
run
Master.
together so much at this point. I'm just trying to finish the classes, man.
Oh yeah. We still got one more after this. 2 more.
Yeah, we still got Blood Hunter and Artificer.
Yeah. Well, we'll be done with all the base classes by the
Yep.
end of the year.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah. Walker of Dreams, 14th level. Now, when you finish a short rest, you can cast one of these following spells without expending a spell slot or requiring any material components.
This first one will surprise you. What was it?
Dream?
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
The Circle of Dreams gets the spell Dream.
Yeah. It's you as the messenger though.
Makes
so that's
sense.
That's one of the requirements for you casting.
Just go into the BBEG's Dream and just go ooga booga booga.
Scrying.
Nice.
And teleportation circle. But this is not your standard. This is a special teleportation circle because rather than it, taking you to another permanent teleportation circle, it basically teleports you to the last place you had a long rest. If you're in the current plane of existence where you took a long rest.
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. But if you haven't and you're still in that, let's say your last long rest was in the plane, like the material plane, and now you're in the plane of fire and you try to use teleportation circle, but you forget. Won't go off, but it isn't wasted. So you can still cast another one of those spells.
No, but you're still on fire, so that's an issue.
You got the feed each chain, you're fine.
That picture of the dog sitting in the house. This is fine.
This is fine. And you get these back on a long rest.
Yeah, everything you're getting back on a long rest with this class or this subclass.
Which honestly, not bad because the things that you get are pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything bad that this subclass is getting. No, there's really not. All of it's good.
Yeah.
And it would play so well into everything else that the Druid's getting.
It really does. This was a fine addition to the Druid.
Here's another fine addition to the Druid, and it's actually kind of scary.
The
Circle of Spores.
This is...
Jinx. You owe me a soda.
I'll get one from your fridge.
Fair.
So let me tell you the theme of this one. This one is... So you had the Circle of Dreams, which was the more Fae-like stuff with, sleeping and teleportation and all that. Spores is basically as close as you can get to a Necromancer in Druid form.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Underdark type deal.
It's more just like the mushroom decomposers of the world type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, decay is part of nature, therefore it's beautiful type stuff.
Well, speaking of which, you get circle spells, so your symbiotic link to fungi and your ability to tap into the cycle of life and death, it grants you access to certain spells at 2nd level. So you're gaining Chill Touch at 2nd, 3rd level blindness or deafness and general repose. 5th level, Animate Dead and Gaseous Form. 7th, Blight and Confusion. 9th, Cloud Kill and Contagion. So some serious spells.
All of those make sense.
I mean, Cloud Kill, for those of you that may not just be able to recollect like somebody like Matt Mercer, and know exactly what it does. It's a 20-foot radius sphere of poisonous gas, spreads around corners, and lasts for the duration, which is 10 minutes, or until a strong wind disperses the fog. So when a creature enters the spell's area for the first time or starts its turn there, it's got to make a con save, and it takes 5d8 poison damage on a failed save or half on a successful one. Now here's the thing. The fog moves 10 feet away from you at the start of each of your turns, which means if that creature is unable to move, it can be hit twice if their turn comes next. Because when they first enter on a turn, they come in. For some reason, they enter by accident because they're not paying attention. We'll just say the DM wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. Or the player.
Or the player. They enter 5d8 poison damage, whether it's full or halved. Their turn comes next, whatever. 5d8 poison damage or halved.
Yeah, you could definitely, under the right circumstances, you could definitely milk this for what it's worth. Combine it with possibly paralyzing or restraining it.
Mm-hmm.
No. You know what you need to do? You need to get one of those legacy Yuntai who are immune to poison. Grapple.
Yep.
And then you could have someone else just shove them.
That's true. But also you're gaining Halo of Spores at 2nd level. So you surround yourself by invisible necrotic spores that are harmless until you unleash them on a creature nearby. When a creature you can see moves into a space within 10 feet of you or starts its turn there, you can use your reaction to deal 1d4 up to 1d10 at 14th level of necrotic damage, and they have to succeed on a con save against your spell save DC. Now, it does not say that they would take half damage on a success, so I would figure on a success they would take none like a cantrip.
Yeah, they wouldn't take any.
But still, I mean, that's up to a d10 at 14th level of necrotic damage.
I mean, this is...
But it's also using your reaction. However, Druids don't have access to the counterspell unless they do take feats or levels in a wizard or sorcerer or warlock where they have access to it.
Yeah.
So not that big of a deal.
Yeah, not that big of a deal. And plus, this has more range than your attack of opportunities because this is 10 feet.
Yeah, and you'll probably have a better chance of this going off because you're probably going to have a better spell save DC than you do to hit.
Yeah.
That way you're putting it on somebody else instead of you having to roll and hope. You can just say, hey, make this. No, you hope.
Well,
but
technically,
also,
you're still hoping they fail.
Yeah.
It's like, the thing is, like,
instead of hoping for
success, you're hoping for failure.
Yep.
It's one of those things where I've never really understood the whole, like, I prefer saving throws over to hits. It's basically the same thing. There's a D20 rolled, and it has to
here's
be
the thing.
a higher number.
Here's the thing, the way I look at it. If you set the bar low, you won't be, like, heavily let down. Like, if you have to make an intelligence saving throw against one of my spells and you succeed, it just happens. But if I'm sitting here with my character that's got a plus 12 to hit and I can't hit, I'm starting to get a little angry. Because it's happened.
That's fair. You're also getting another thing at 2nd level.
Yeah, symbiotic entity.
Now, this one is interesting.
It's scary.
As an action, you can expend a use of one of your wild-shaped features to awaken those invisible spores that are circling around you. Rather than transforming into a beast form, you gain 4 temporary hit points for each level you have in this class. And while this feature is active, you gain the following benefits. When you deal your Halo of Spores damage, that reaction-based thing, you roll the damage die a second time and add it to the total.
Oh, no.
Also, your melee weapon attacks deal an extra 1d6 necrotic damage to any target they hit.
Wow. Now, it lasts for 10 minutes or until you lose all the temporary hit points or until you use your wild shape again. But let's just do some quick maths, okay?
At this point, you're getting 8 temporary hit points.
Doesn't sound like a whole lot.
No, because there's wild shapes who can give you some technically more temporary
until
hit
you
points.
get to 10th level.
Yeah.
In which case, your reaction is now 1d8. And while this is active, you're going to be doing 2d8 necrotic damage. your melee weapon attacks, if you've got Shillelagh, because let's be honest, you're probably going to want to have that to where you can use your wisdom modifier instead of your strength. Is going to be dealing an extra d6 necrotic damage, and that's 40 temp health. By 10th level, your wild shape is the equivalent of a Circle of the Moon's wild shape into a, what is it, a black bear at CR1?
I think so.
And that's what, 36 or 42 health, something like that.
Something around that.
It's the equivalent of that, except unlike the Circle of the Moon at 10th level, I think, if I'm not remembering incorrectly, you can still cast your spells with 40 temp health. And at an average of 5 for 9 levels, which is 45, taking the max at first level, which would be 8 with no constitution modifier at 54 health plus 40, that's 94 health total. Whew. Yeah. And that's 40 health you have to play around with for 10 minutes or until you lose them to deal that extra damage.
Yeah.
That's spooky. Now, it's not good at 2nd to probably 5th level. You know, it's not going to get good until you hit it 8 to 10th.
This is one of the things where it's going to get better as you go on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're getting 80 temporary health at 20th level if you take this all the way.
Yeah.
80 temporary health on top of 19 times 5, 95.
That's like a whole...
Another 8, 103.
That's like a whole 20th level wizard's health pool.
That's 183 health on a druid, and that's with no con modifier.
And it's based off your wild shape. So, you know, how many times can you wild shape at 20th level?
Anytime you want. Anytime you want, which means as soon as your temp health runs out, you do it again. Another 80 temp health.
That's really good.
That's really good.
How many times can you do it at 19th level though?
Let me look at the table.
Isn't it based off your wisdom modifier?
I think so. That's what I'm looking at now. Wild shape is starting at 2nd level, you can use it twice.
At 8th level, it says you can use it twice.
So I would figure it would be just like a...
so you can only do it twice, even all the way up to 19th?
I would figure so. But then 20th level, you're the Archdruid to where you can do it as many times as you want, whenever you want. And here's the thing.
So much temp health.
It does not say, because that replaces wild shape, that you can't drop and then wild shape again. Never once does it say that you have to actually lose all the temp health.
No.
You can move and drop, never take damage from your actual health, and do it again, 80 temp health on top of your 103 with no con modifier.
Well, you would lose it if you did it again.
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But you get that 80 temp health right back.
So like you took like 40 damage. You're like, that's too close to my real health pool.
Well, see, here's the thing in that discussion we had about I think it was last week, about temp health.
Who knows?
Being like healing, because at that point, it should be considered healing. If you're able to do it as a 20th level Archdruid, just popping it off.
Yeah.
You're giving yourself a health pool, which is technically what healing is doing. You're giving yourself an extended health pool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is possibly the best self-heal in the game.
Yeah, at 20th level. Granted, you have to be at 20th
oh,
level.
Oh,
to do
no.
it.
This is at... Oh, yeah. But even at 10th level, I don't know that there's anything that can compare unless you're doing like a Beacon of Hope with a 3rd level. Or, let's see, at 10th level, you'd have access to... Would you have access to Mass Healing Word?
I think so.
That's the only thing that might be comparable.
Yeah.
If you could target all 6 people.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Because Mass Healing Word's a 3rd level spell, right? Mass Cure Wounds is the 5th.
I'd have to check.
I think I'm right on that.
Anyways, their 6th level ability, they get a zombie.
Yeah.
Under the right circumstances. Basically, those spores that you're carrying around, you dirty little druid. Whenever there's a creature, beast or humanoid, small or medium, dies within 10 feet of you, you can use your reaction to animate it, causing it to stand up immediately with 1 hit point. They use
And-
the zombie stat block.
Yeah.
It remains animated for 1 hour, after which it collapses and die. In combat, the zombie's turn comes immediately after yours. It obeys your mental commands, so you don't have to actually talk to it. It's just mental. And the only action it can do is 1 melee attack action.
Well, here's the thing to think of.
You can do this a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. Get it back on a long rest.
Here's the thing to think of. Yeah, it's only 1 hit point, but you're not raising a zombie for a companion. You're raising it as a meat shield. That's
Yeah.
somebody to stand in between you and whoever else may be coming.
Yeah.
And that person can stand there, and that zombie can stand there and have an opportunity attack if it was to leave its range. Possibly dealing damage.
The zombie can't do an opportunity attack.
Really?
The only action it can take is a attack action. Well, actually, no, it could because it never says it can't take bonus actions or reactions. It just says the only action it can take. is
Exactly.
that. So it could do opportunity attacks.
Arguably everything in the game gets a reaction
Yeah.
if it has a stat block. So it could take that reaction and do damage, or if it's somebody like a paladin that's gone rogue who still hates undead, is going to be distracted and be like, I have to destroy this thing. I have to destroy this abomination before I move on to my true target.
Yeah.
It's just like
Also,
I
there's
gotta do it.
something so frightening about you're facing this man who is covered in this moss and fungus growing out of him.
And you watch
And
the
then-
spore land in somebody's mouth, and then they stood back up.
Yeah, your best friend who you have been a bandit with for the past year, the only person that you can relate with because the rest of the group is all cutthroats and you're just trying to pay bills, just died in front of you due to this big hulking mass of spores, and then got back up, turned to you with that gashing wound still in its skull, and started coming towards you to attack you. Now that is something that is frightening.
And to make it worse, he just says, "You forgot to pay the water bill."
But no, there's a whole some psychological mind games you could play with this.
Yeah, which would make sense as to why they might want to target it first, depending on if the DM's wanting to do a heavy role play thing or if they're just wanting to do a heavy combat thing.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I
they
mean,
could
you-
have them just completely ignore the guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, the druid's in control of the zombie.
Yeah, I'm talking about the NPC that might be distracted by the zombie.
Yeah.
The guy that's the zombies in between.
Yeah.
At 10th level, you're getting spreading spores, so you gain the ability to seed an area with deadly spores. As a bonus action, while your symbiotic entity feature is active, you can hurl spores up to 30 feet away where they swirl in a 10-foot cube for a minute. They disappear early if you use the feature again, or if you dismiss them as a bonus action, or if the symbiotic entity feature is no longer active. Whenever a creature moves into the cube or starts its turn there, the creature takes your halo of spores damage unless the creature succeeds on a con save against the spell save DC, and a creature can take damage no more than once per turn. But while the cube of spores persists, you cannot use your halo of spores reaction. So here's the thing. That's something that you want to throw on a doorway.
Yeah. This is something you want to throw in spike growth.
Yep.
Spike growth, web, spreading spores.
Yep, because this is not concentration. This is something
And you know
that's-
what? We got cloud kill. Send it that way.
You may as well, because this is not going to be taking concentration. This is just something you can do as long as you have your symbiotic entity going.
Now, this is going to take away your reaction to use your halo of spores.
But it's freeing up your reaction to do something else.
Yeah, it's freeing up your
Because
reaction.
what else is available while your symbiotic entity is active? The 1d6 damage on your melee weapon attack. So you're still going to be doing necrotic damage no matter what.
But also, it frees up your reaction to use fungal infestation to raise that zombie.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, I love the theme of
And
this
who
guy.
can go into that fungal, and who can go into that 10-foot cube of spores and be fine? The zombie, because what are they immune to? Necrotic damage.
No, they're immune to poison damage.
Oh, they're immune to poison damage?
Yeah.
I figured they would have been immune to necrotic.
Nah. Just
All right,
poison.
Mike Merles, what are you thinking? I'm just kidding.
Necrosis decays them further. I mean, they're already rotting.
Well, then that should be a vulnerability then.
Nah.
Yeah. 14th level, you get fungal body. Now, this is where it gets a little stupid.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Here's something we forgot about.
What?
It uses the statistics of a zombie, right?
Yeah.
The zombie stat block, which has the undead fortitude ability.
Oh, boy.
Let me just read that ability because this thing is so annoying under the right circumstances, especially in low-level games. If damage reduces the zombie to 0 hit points, it makes a Constitution saving throw with a DC of 5 plus the damage taken. Now it's got a con modifier of +3. Unless the damage is radiant or from a critical hit. On a success, the zombie drops to 1 hit point instead.
And that's crazy because really, that's a 6th level.
Yeah,
You're getting that?
when you're getting that.
It's not too often to see no more than about 10 or 12 damage in a single attack.
And that's perfectly possible.
And about the only way you're going to see that is somebody's using a greatsword.
Yeah.
Or maybe a great axe, but they got to roll good on that D12.
Well, I mean, this is also the case where, Fireball is unlocked at 5th level. And there's,
Well, yeah.
and there's nothing
I mean,
saying-
there's the possibility of
Yeah.
that, but I mean, I'm talking about from actually a weapon attack. You're
Yeah.
barely going to see anything above 10 to 12 damage.
Yeah.
Barely. Because 6th level, I highly doubt that you're going to have an 18 or higher in any of your stats unless you really rolled well. Or if you did a point buy system like we did in your game to where it was a little bit more lenient. And would you explain one more time the save that it has to make for the undead fortitude? Is it 10 plus the damage?
It's 5 plus the damage.
5 plus the damage. So
Yep.
if it takes,
If it takes 10 damage,
it has to roll a con save of 10. No, 15.
15. And it's got a +3 con modifier.
There you go. So it's not completely impossible. It only becomes hard if it starts taking 15 damage and up.
Yeah. Well, anything if they take if at any point they take 18 or higher,
They're dead.
it's gone.
Yeah. Fungal body, though. The fungal
This-
spores on your body alter you to where you can't be blinded, deafened, frightened, or poisoned, and any critical hit against you counts as a normal hit instead unless you're incapacitated. Let me just... Any critical hit against you counts as a normal hit instead unless you're incapacitated.
Ooh.
Why? Because this is still a druid. You're getting so much from these first 3 or 4 added benefits through the first, lower levels of the circle of spores. This set this completely apart from everything else.
That critical hits not counting against you as only as normal hits, I don't see how that fits. I get the blinded, deafened, frightened, and poisoned. Because you have so many spores in your body that pretty much any drug doesn't work on you,
No, they have a natural adamantine armor.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh, it's ridiculously crazy.
But-
But here's the thing that I'm seeing here. As far as levels go and how they're played, every high level druid is ridiculously powerful.
Oh, yeah.
You get to 18th to 20th level, they're the most powerful class in the game.
Alongside the cleric.
Yeah, there's no denying that at 20th level, unless the cleric just uses divine intervention and has them wiped off the face of the earth, then there is no beating in a one-on-one combat a 20th level druid. There is no beating them unless you can, banish them and skedaddle before they come back, or if
With
you
all
can keep them incapacitated.
With all that health, with that continually every turn health
The
pool.
free wild shape,
Yeah.
especially with this getting 80 temp health per turn and still having the ability to cast its spells, because I think if I'm not mistaken, the only other class that has the ability, the only other circle that has the ability to cast spells while wild shape is either Moon or Shepherd.
One of them.
So this is some seriously spooky stuff.
Yeah, it's...
But Circle of
Also,
Spores,
here's the thing.
here's the thing.
Well,
Go ahead.
Still on that topic. One of the ways to deal with that is get them in a constant Moonbeam aura, which basically makes it where you cannot change your shape. So spells like Polymorph, True Polymorph, Wild Shape, Changeling, Doppelgangers, they can't change their form. So you could negate the Wild Shape feature with that so they couldn't do their beast form. That does not work on the symbiotic entity because it's not changing the shape.
That's why I was about to say the Circle of Spores is possibly the most powerful druid there is.
Yeah.
Specifically in the
health department.
Yeah. Low level, 2nd to 10th level, I would want to play a Circle of the Moon because you're able to go into a CR1 at 2nd level. If you want to go straight into a Black Bear, you can go straight into a Black Bear. No CR quarter for you, bud. But anything from about 8th or 10th on, I would want to play Circle of the Stars. Spores.
No, you said stars? Yeah, he said stars. You heard it here, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
want to play Circle of Spores.
Rob said stars.
Yeah. And you know what's sad? Stars is so much weaker.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing.
Let's go into stars.
This is the aesthetically pleasing one.
So let me just read the little excerpt they have of kind of describing the theme of this.
Grab a cup of coffee. You're probably going to need it.
Circle of Stars allows druids to draw on the power of starlight. That sounds cool. Stars are powerful things. A single star fuels all plant life on our planet.
We covered the cleric 3 or 4 months ago. We know that starlight's nowhere near as powerful as twilight.
These druids have tracked heavenly patterns since time immemorial, discovering secrets hidden amid the constellations. By revealing and understanding these secrets, the Circle of Stars seek to harness the power of the cosmos. That sounds dope,
So they're Hades from Disney's Hercules. By revealing and understanding these secrets, Hades seeks to harness the power of the cosmos. He's waiting for the planets to align and to where he can raise the Titans to take over Olympus.
Yeah, this
Circle of Stars is Hades.
Yeah. No.
I mean, it kind of lines up there.
The theme. I was thinking
Get
more.
it? Lines up, waiting for the planets to align.
Anyway, so at 2nd level, you get something called a star map.
And it's interesting because it's borrowing heavily from the cleric right here.
So like a wizard has a spell book, the Circle of Stars druid has this star map. It's a tiny object that can serve as a spellcasting focus for your druid spells. You can determine its form by rolling on a star map table or by choosing one. And some of the examples that you could have is a scroll covered with depictions of constellations, a stone tablet with fine holes drilled through it, a speckled owlbear hide tooled with raised marks, a collection of maps bound in an ebony cover, a crystal that projects starry patterns when placed before a light.
And my favorite, glass discs that depict constellations. That's just cool.
Yeah. So, while holding this map, you have these benefits. You know the guidance cantrip. You have the Guiding Bolt spell prepared. It counts as a druid spell for you and doesn't count against the number of spells you can have prepared.
And Guiding Bolt is an absolutely phenomenal spell.
Yes. Also, you can cast Guiding Bolt without expending a spell slot.
Wait. Without expending a spell slot?
Yeah. You can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
Oh. This 2nd level with being able to cast Guiding Bolt twice without expending a spell slot and then having the opportunity to cast it more by spending spell slots is extremely powerful, especially with it counting as a druid cantrip to where you can use your spellcasting proficiency and modifier to do the damage along with giving yourself advantage on the next attack if nobody else is able to hit it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because
good.
that's what, 3d6 radiant damage? Or is it 4?
46.
4d6 radiant damage.
Yeah, 4 6-sided dice.
Yes.
Not 46.
That's why I said it slow.
Yeah.
4d6. That's a lot.
Yeah, Guiding Bolt is such a good spell.
Oh, it really is. There's a reason it's on the cleric cantrip, on the cleric spell list.
It's a cleric cantrip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cleric cantrip. There's a reason that it's on the cleric spell list. But in 1D&D on the divine spell list, so it's going to be available to a couple of other classes.
Yep.
Which is going to be interesting to see it on. Wait a minute, is the paladin on the divine spell list in that, or is it considered a? Oh, the paladin's on the divine spell list. Oh my God,
Ooh.
paladin with divine, paladin with guiding bolt and smite. How did we miss that?
How did we miss that?
That's so dumb. 1D&D.
Oh boy. Anyway, starry form.
Yeah.
You also get this at second level. Basically, bonus action. You expend a wild shape feature, and instead of turning into an animal, you become almost like a constellation, you could say.
Ooh.
Your body becomes luminous.
You become Dr. Manhattan.
Your joints glimmer like stars, and glowing lines connect them as a star chart. So you become a stick figure constellation. While in this form, you shed bright light in a 10-foot radius in dim light for an additional 10 feet.
No, wait, though, it's better. You become one of those 3D renders before they put the body on there.
Yes.
It's just the head and the arms and the little balls on the feet and the hands just going.
Yes. This form lasts for 10 minutes. Ends early if you dismiss it. No action required. Or are incapacitated, die, or use this feature again.
I like how they just put die. Like, it's not if you are incapacitated, if you unfortunately die,
Hold
or
on.
use this feature again.
Hold on.
Yeah, let me scroll back up to spores real quick. There's something in there.
No. There's something.
No, hold up.
What?
Oh, never mind. It was until you lose the temporary hit points.
Yeah.
Continue on.
So, it says it ends early if you dismiss it, no action required, are incapacitated, die, or use this feature again.
Yeah.
What did spores say about their symbiotic entity?
The symbiotic entity.
Until you lose the temporary hit points or until you use your wild shape again.
Yeah.
So you can't have symbiotic entity up with a wild shape. But you can have starry form up with a wild shape.
Yeah.
So you could be a wild-shaped star bear.
Well, no, not at second level you can't.
Why not?
Because you can't do a CR1 at second level.
Oh,
That's
well,
only
yeah.
Circle of the Moon.
Bear cub.
Sure.
So
You could go into a wolf.
You could do a constellation animal.
Yeah, you could do a starry wolf.
Now, also, when you do activate your starry form, you pick between 3 different types of constellations, and those give you abilities to use based off of. So, Archer. If you pick the constellation of the Archer as a bonus action on your subsequent turns, you can make a ranged spell attack, hurling a luminous arrow that targets one creature within 60 feet of you. They take radiant damage equal to 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier.
Now, the question is, are you going to be able to use that feature while you are wild-shaped?
Yeah.
Okay. A wolf,
Well,
peas
well,
really
it's a
far. I
ranged
don't
spell
know.
attack. I don't know, because
See, there's the issue.
is
will
this
it match?
technically a casting a spell, or is it not?
Well, here's the thing. You can expend the use of your wild shape feature to take on a starry form rather than transforming into a beast, and it says that it'll last until you use this feature again. You're still expending a use of your wild shape,
Yeah.
which means
No, it's you.
okay.
You use this feature
yeah.
again. This feature
So,
is called starry
I
form.
guess here's the question. Really, is that are you going to want a wild shape while you're doing it? or are you just want to go to? Are you going to want to make yourself a little bit better? Are you going to give yourself a better or a different attack during your turn? Because I don't know if you'd be able to do this while you were that CR quarter wolf. Unless it's just, that form kind of overrides and gets thrown in with the wolf,
I think it overrides. I think it'd still be able to do it. The reason why I don't think you could is because it says you make a ranged spell attack.
Yeah, that's my problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I still think a wolf could hurl an arrow. I mean, it's magical enough,
Yeah.
So maybe it depend on the ruling.
Yeah.
I think
And the ruling's unclear on that.
I think I would allow it.
I mean, yeah, it is a CR quarter wolf. It's got 13 health.
Yeah, and it's just a 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier.
Yeah.
That's less than a firebolt.
Yeah. Well, it actually could be more than a firebolt. Because firebolt by that point is only 1d10.
It's less than an Eldritch Blast.
Actually, is the same as an Eldritch Blast.
No, an Eldritch Blast is a d10.
D8, if you max it plus wisdom of at least 3, that's 11.
Okay, yeah,
Still
but
more.
if Agonizing Blast, add your charisma modifier.
Don't have that at second level.
You could at third level, at least.
That's not second. Chalice, a constellation of a life-giving goblet appears on you. Whenever you cast a spell using a spell slot that restores hit points to a creature, you or another creature within 30 feet of you regain hit points equal to
Actually, you
1d8
can't-
plus your wisdom modifier.
Pause, because you can get that at second level.
What?
Eldritch Invocations.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, here's that just answered the question.
What?
There's only one subclass that can cast spells while they're wild-shaped.
What is that? What?
It was either Moon or Shepherd.
Oh, okay.
Whenever you cast a spell using a spell slot that restores hit points to you or another creature within 30 feet of you, you can regain hit points equal to 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier. You cannot cast spells while you are wild-shaped. So there is absolutely no point in trying to figure out any kind of ruling on that because it's useless.
That's fair.
There's no point in trying to wild shape. So the using the feature again is only, I would say, to extend it. It's like, hey, this fight's taking a little bit longer than I thought. Let me just go ahead and pop it again,
Yeah.
even though it's only been up for, say, 8 minutes.
Well, you could still dragon with a wild shape form.
Yeah.
Because dragon, whenever you make an intelligence or wisdom check or a constitution saving throw to maintain concentration on a spell, you treat a 9 or lower on a d20 as a 10. So, perception check. I mean, still, it kind of... Most animals you're going to be turning into could have like a keen senses, have advantage on wisdom perception checks, so advantage, or you can't roll below a 9. They kind of...
Now, wild shape,
Equal.
if you cast the concentration spell does not drop if you wild shape, correct?
Yeah, before you... Yeah.
Well, in that case, if you're planning on wild shaping after doing this, dragon's the only one you're going to be able to use.
Yeah.
So, realistically, if you're wanting to make yourself as useful as possible, I wouldn't wild shape afterwards. Unless you're...
Oh, 18th level, any druid can cast spells in their wild shape.
Any druid?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I would remember seeing it somewhere. So, okay, that'll become better, but that's 18th level.
Yeah.
That's a long way away from second level.
Yeah.
If you're playing XP specifically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Milestone, it could happen in a matter of 4 sessions.
It's going to be a while before you get a lot of use out of combining both your star form and turning into an animal.
Yeah. Cosmic Omen, though. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can consult your star map for omens, and when you do so, roll a die. Until you finish your next long rest, you gain access to a special reaction based on whether you rolled an even or odd number on the die.
Basically, you roll a dice. If you roll even, you have a d6 that you can add to an attack roll, saving throw, or an ability check
Pretty much the blessed spell.
that to a creature that you can see within 30 feet of you. Or if you roll odd, it's a d6, and you subtract that number on the d6 from an attack roll, ability
Bane
check,
spell.
or saving throw. Yeah.
You can only use this reaction a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
Yeah.
Now, it's just that reaction again. However, I think the reaction is a little bit better here because it's really doing something, you know. I would be willing to give up an opportunity attack for that
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's the equivalent of that That's the equivalent of a 6-level bard's inspiration. No, it's not. That's the D8 6-level bard.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a inspiration die.
Yeah. The only problem is, like, you know, there's going to be times where you have an even when you want an odd.
Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is. You just wait until you have one of your buddies going up there to make an attack, and you give them the D6 to roll.
Yeah.
Or make a save or whatever. 10th level, you get Twinkling Constellation. So pretty much the constellations of your starry form improve. The D8 of the Archer and the Chalice become 2D8, and while the Dragon is active, you have a flying speed of 20 feet and can hover. Moreover, at the start of each of your turns, while in starry form, you can change which constellation glimmers on your body, so you can swap in between.
Yeah.
That makes it a lot more useful. It really does, because you can spend one turn as the Archer, and then immediately go into the Dragon and begin flying. Go back into the Archer and start launching your spell attack. Go back into the Dragon at the start of the next turn before you hit the ground. Land, become the Chalice.
Yeah.
It's just constant. Now, here's the one that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it does. 14th level, the Full of Stars. While in your starry form, you become partially incorporeal, giving you resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage.
Sounds good, but at 14th level, how often are you going to run into
here's-
those damage levels? Those damage types?
Yeah, that's a good point, but here's something that I just thought of. That doesn't say non-magical. That's bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing overall.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty strong,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of at 14th level you can still run into bandit captains, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you were to go into, if your party 6th level or 14th level people go into a fight with a single pit fiend, it's still going to be doing some type of slashing or piercing or bludgeoning
Even
damage.
Meteor Swarm has bludgeoning damage in that spell.
Yeah. So, and you're going to have resistance to it.
And put this on top of your wild shape, because you're only 4 levels away from being able to cast while in wild shape.
Yep.
It's not looking that bad.
It's not looking that bad, but it's nowhere near.
It's not looking that strong either.
It's nowhere near the Circle of Spores.
Yeah.
Nowhere near it. And I really don't think it's anywhere near the Circle of Wildfire, because I kind of like I kind of group Wildfire and Spores hand in hand, just two separate sides of the coin.
Okay. Now you have a Circle of Wildfire in your game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric is playing one, isn't he?
Yeah. Formir.
You remember when they first introduced Circle of Wildfire in the Unearthed Arcana?
I do not.
The first edition had the spell Fireball.
Oof.
When that came out into 5e officially, they didn't have Fireball, and there were a lot of people who were complaining.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, because at 3rd level, you're still. Here's the thing: when you go this circle at 2nd level, you're gaining Burning Hands and Cure Wounds. 3rd level, Flaming Spear and Scorching Ray, both great spells. All 4 of those great spells. 5th, Plant Growth and Revivify. 7th, Aura of Life and Fire Shield. And 9th, Flame Strike and Mass Cure Wounds.
Isn't Flame Strike when you basically call down a mortar?
Yeah, because it's 4d6 radiant damage and 4d6 fire damage.
Oof.
In a 20-foot or 15-foot cylinder. Something like that.
Mm.
That is massive damage.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it's a 5th level spell slot that you're having to use, but, I mean, it's still 8d6. But it's not a straight damage like Fireball, so there's a possibility of actually being able to do some damage with it. So, at 2nd
Fireball's
level...
they have to roll for half.
Well, even still...
Oh, you're talking about like immunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're talking about resistances, they're only going to be resistant to 4d6 of that. They're still going to be taking the max damage from the Radiant.
Yeah.
So, 2nd level, you can summon a primal Wildfire Spirit bound to your soul. As an action, you expend one of your uses of your Wild Shape feature to summon a Wildfire Spirit, assuming a beast form. It appears in an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of you, and each creature within 10 feet of the spirit other than you when it appears must succeed on a dex save against your spell save DC or take 2d6 fire damage. It's friendly to you and your companions, obeys all your commands, and it's got a stat block. So here's the thing. The Wildfire Spirit has a natural AC of 13, and its hit points is 5 plus 5 times your Druid level. Goes up to 105 health. It's pretty good. It's got a 30 feet movement with a 30 feet fly, which is considered a hover. Immune to fire, immune to charmed, frightened, grappled, prone, and restrained. Has dark vision for 60 feet and a passive perception of 12. Understands all the languages that you speak. Now its actions are Flame Seed, where it's a ranged weapon attack. It's your spell attack modifier to hit with a range of 60 feet. 1d6 plus proficiency in fire damage, which its proficiency is equal to your roll. Fiery teleportation, the spirit and each willing creature of your choice within 5 feet of it teleport up to 15 feet to an unoccupied space. Then each creature within 5 feet of the space that the spirit left must succeed on a dex save or throw against your spell save DC or take 1d6 plus proficiency bonus in fire damage. It's a miniature thunder step. He's used that plenty of times in my game, and it is ridiculously good. Now it does take share your initiative count, but it takes its turn immediately after yours. The only action it takes on its turn is the dodge action, unless you take a bonus action on your turn to command it to take another. If you're incapacitated, the spirit can take any action of its choice, not just dodge. It lasts for an hour until it's reduced to 0, and until you use this creature to summon the spirit, this feature to summon the spirit again, or until you die. Very good.
Yeah.
Not that great at second level,
I
but
really,
it's really good.
I'm not a big fan of how they do like summons in Dungeons and Dragons. I think
This one was pretty well done, though.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when it comes to. Don't get me wrong. There's
Just
plenty,
the overall stuff.
There's plenty of great options to summon and conjure up, but I don't like how they handle what it can actually do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm fine with it saying it rolls its own initiative or it takes its turn immediately after yours. I don't like it having to say you have to use one of your actions to tell it what to do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm not a big fan of.
Well, I mean, I guess they're looking at it the same as you would a spiritual weapon.
Yeah.
Because you're having to use your bonus action to move it up to 30 feet. So using your bonus action to say, hey, go teleport that guy. It's only fair because it's got a 30-foot movement to run over there and then 15 more foot of movement with that teleportation to take any number of choice, any creature that's within 5 feet of it with it.
I'm perfectly fine with that spiritual weapon, you haven't used an action because it's technically an inanimate object. This is described as a spirit that is bound to your soul.
So is the spiritual weapon. In a way. It's a loose comparison.
This thing
there,
seems more alive than a spiritual weapon, Spiritual weapon seems like you are using magic to almost, in a way, telekinetically.
You're using your spirit because it's a cleric thing.
Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like Circle of Spores, that we covered. Their zombie, you don't have to use anything of yours to tell it what to do.
Where'd it go? There it is.
Yeah, it obeys your mental commands.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be the one downside. But how much do you have as a druid that you're going to be able to do as a bonus action? I mean, there's Healing Word, if you have it.
Yeah, but still,
there's not much as a druid you're going to have available to you as a bonus action. I don't think.
Still.
But at 6th level, you get the enhanced bond. So the bond with your Wildfire Spirit enhances your destructive and restorative spells. Whenever you cast a spell that deals fire damage or restores hit points while your Wildfire Spirit is summoned, roll a d8. You gain a bonus equal to the number rolled to 1 damage or healing roll of the spell. In addition, when you cast a spell with range other than self, the spell can originate from you or your Wildlife Spirit.
That's good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Because now you don't have to worry about pumping healing cure wounds from 1st level to 2nd level. You can just cast it at 1st and get that extra d8 roll.
Yeah.
Very good.
I want to see a Druid Wizard multi-class where Wildfire Circle Druid and the Order of Scribes Wizard. It's got the book and the spirit open. And let's say he's got some levels in Warlock too, okay? Just because. And he's at high enough levels where Eldritch Blast is now firing 3 rays, or he casts Scorching Ray. And he's just casting spells 1 ray from each originating point, either the book, himself, and the Wildfire.
Wow. Wow.
I just like the picture of that.
Here's where it gets powerful. Cauterizing Flames, and this is something I think that Eric's done a couple of times in my game. You gain the ability to turn.
Is he 10th level?
Huh?
Is he 10th level?
Oh no. He's. This is what he was telling me that he was going to be able to do.
No.
You gain the ability to turn death into magical flames that can heal or incinerate. So when a small or larger creature dies within 30 feet of you or your Wildfire spirit, a harmless spectral flame springs forth in the dead creature's space and flickers there for a minute. When a creature you can see enters that space, you can use your reaction to extinguish the spectral flame there and either heal that creature or deal fire damage to it. And the healing or damage equals 2d10 plus your wisdom modifier. You can use that reaction a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. That's another reaction that I would give up an opportunity to attack for.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You're going to get a lot more uses of healing out of it than your damage. Because what enemy is going to run up to where their friend died and there is now this little fire?
Unless it's a
gonna
horde.
stand there. Unless it's a horde, yeah. Unless you're fighting some really dumb things, then yeah.
Or unless you're in a really tight room and they don't really have a choice.
Yeah. You're going to get more... You're going to have more opportunities for your allies are like, I'm hurting real bad. Let me make it to the fire.
Yeah, that's true. But now at 14th level with Blazing Revival, the bond that your Wildfire spirit, your bond with your Wildfire spirit can save you from death. If the spirit's within 120 feet of you when you're reduced to 0 hit points and thereby fall unconscious, you can cause the spirit to drop to 0 hit points. You then regain half your hit points and immediately rise to your feet. Can't do it again until you finish a long rest.
I'm sorry. Did you just say that?
Hold up. If the spirit is within 120 feet of you, when you are reduced to 0 hit points and thereby fall unconscious, you can cause the spirit to drop to 0 hit points. You then regain half your hit points and immediately rise to your feet.
So you're no longer unconscious. You're no longer incapacitated. You're no longer prone. You have half of your hit points, and you can just use another one of your wild shapes to summon.
Yep, because here's the thing. At 14th level, it's 5 plus 5 times your... Here's the thing. That's 100 health on the Wildfire Spirit. So it's a good possibility it's still going to be up. Yeah, the armor class is garbage, but it is what it is. Now, at 14th level, you got 13 levels at 5 if you're taking average with no constitution modifier, like I said earlier. You got 13 and 5 at 65, plus 8 is 73. That's 73 health. Half of 73 would be 36. You pop back up immediately with 36 health. Just by saying, hey, Wildfire, take one for the team, bud. I'll call you back in a second. Because what's it going to care? It doesn't technically actually die.
And guess what? At 20th level, it doesn't matter if he dies.
True.
You can just bring him back up.
That's true.
Oh.
But you can only use it once per long rest. So there is a stipulation there. You can't do it more than once per combat unless that combat's taking forever. You can just sneak off and take a rest in the middle of combat. If it's a war, sure. You can get a long rest after each battle. Oh man. Could you imagine this guy on a battlefield?
I don't want to.
I mean, in one of those wars, it's going to be like a week long, 7 days of fighting. That's 7 long rests.
This man's dying 7 times.
This man goes down 7 times, pops up all 7 with half his health, and then starts healing himself with the fire he gets from killing people for 2d10 plus proficiency, along with the mass cure wounds, the cure wounds, and all the other stuff that he's already getting. and the aura of life, which life-preserving energy radiates from you in an aura within 30 feet. Until the spell ends, the aura moves with you, centered on you. Each non-hostile creature in the area, including you, has resistance to necrotic damage, and its hit point maximum can't be reduced. In addition, a non-hostile living creature regains 1 hit point when it starts its turn in the aura with 0 hit points. Yeah, Wildfire is busted. But here's the thing.
What's the thing?
If we were to choose one to play, and we were to choose one to play with, like, whether we were playing another Druid or whatever class, what would we want?
I want to play stars, and I want stars with me. I want 2 stars on one team.
That would suck.
I don't know.
Honestly,
I want to play with a Wildfire.
well, you already do.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good.
Test and proven, it works. So that's
Yeah,
why
it's
I want
very
to do
good.
what I'm doing now. I want a Wildfire Druid on my team because it works. That healing output.
Very good healing.
Yeah.
For a Druid, anyway.
To play
Very
one?
good healing.
Spores.
I agree entirely.
Yeah.
Now, if I wanted to run a base level Druid, then I'd go Circle of the Land. I'd probably go Arctic. Honestly. Most likely Arctic just because of Cone of Cold and Sleet Storm and having access to Slow and Hold Person. Because it's got some really good spells.
Yeah, it does.
Now, Coast does have Misty Step and Control Water. And obviously, Desert's going to have Hallucinatory Terrain. I mean, there are a couple of different spells. Grassland's got Invisibility and Haste. Mountain's got Lightning Bolt, which is a really good spell. Swamp's got Stinging Cloud. And Underdark's got Greater Invisibility. But there are so many good spells on the Arctic. I mean, Hold Person, Spike Growth, Sleet Storm, Slow, Ice Storm, Commune with Nature, and Cone of Cold. Cone of Cold hits hard.
It does.
And I'm telling you.
I mean, we're being hit by a Cone of Cold right now.
No, it's a whole lot bigger than just a cone. It's a whole sphere. But here's the thing. The cold damaging spells are not used very often. But barely ever, for some reason, in both my game and yours, barely ever are the saves made. It's just something about it. I don't know if it's just our games. Maybe you as the listener can tell us otherwise. But like, yeah, I've cast a cold type spell a lot, and I've never got it to work for me. But Rhymes Binding Ice, I've trapped so many people in that in your game.
Yeah.
Except for the toad that yeah, okay, hold up. My 6th level 2nd transformation lich almost died to a giant toad.
You really gonna bring that up?
He died. He almost died. He had 3 health after being swallowed by a giant toad.
If you really want the context, here's what happened.
It's sad.
So Rob is playing a lich in my game.
Yes.
One of his characters is a lich, and we're using Grim Hollow and their transformation rules. And with 2nd level transformation, he's able to have
up to 4 CR1 undead creatures as my thralls.
Yeah, and
permanently bound to me.
He had 2, and they got destroyed in a basically a zombie apocalypse hitting a town.
Yeah, stronger zombie virus type thing than the zombies that I raised as a lich.
Yeah. And so he had to get a new one. And the thing is, it never said that it had to be humanoid.
Just a creature.
So he was asking me, he was like, hey, you know, what is...
I'm going to go to the woods and give me a CR1.
And I was like, okay, well, let me look at some CR1s so I can give... And I didn't want to, like, say, hey, there's nothing absolutely here. Because they're going into, like, pretty much the big bad evil guy's boss fight next turn, or next session. So I was like, all right, well, let me just look at some things. I'll have him roll for it. So I picked like 4 or 5, maybe 6 different CR1 animals that I feel like were pretty good. Dire wolf, whatever bear, the giant eagle, giant toad, and I think there was like 2 others. I can't remember.
And I almost died to a toad.
Anyway, I said roll the D whatever, and he rolled the toad. And say, hey, you hear a ribbit. And he's like, all right, cool. I'm going to send a lightning bolt at that toad.
It made the save.
That succeeded against the lightning bolt.
And then ate me.
Lived, turned around, and said, "Whoop."
Yep. It ate me.
It rolled a crit.
Yeah.
Got him.
It
brought him down to 3 health.
Octavius has a maximum of 36 health, and it did 33 damage with the crit.
Yeah, and the thing is, you went alone.
Yeah, I was completely alone. If Octavius had gone down there, he would not have been in the big bad fight. He wouldn't have been dead because his phylactery, he would have popped up 7 days later.
Unless the frog ate your phylactery.
Oh, I mean, it'd have to be destroyed. You know, but
giant toad stomach acid.
I think it's got resistance or immunity to some kind of acid or something like that. But I don't know. I'd have to look at it. But I think it'd just be like a dog passing a ring or something.
You give the giant toad a bad kidney stone.
Yeah. But yeah, my 6th level, really powerful, honestly, like really powerful Order of Scribes Lich Wizard almost died to a giant toad.
Gosh. That's funny. That just shows how powerful nature is.
Yeah, it really does.
But that's been the Druid. What class are we going into next?
If I'm not mistaken, we were going to do the Blood Hunter and the Artificer in the same episode because there's not many.
No, we're hitting both, like everything in one episode.
We can split it up. We'll probably just do it 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, because I was fixing to say, if we're doing, Blood Hunter and Artificer, that is
8 subclasses.
Yeah, 8 subclasses in one episode.
Now we did that with the Wizard. It's a garbage episode, but
you trying to shotgun the Artificer and Blood Hunter together?
Let's do this.
Just rolling. You hear in the episode. All right, so Alchemist, you got blah 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 blah. All right, Armorer, here's what it is.
You want to hear more about the Order of the Lycanthrope?
I mean, I'm down to shotgun it if you want to.
Nah, we'll just split it up into 2 weeks. It'll make more sense.
Sure. So let's hit Artificer next, since that's an official class.
And we'll say...
Hey, you know what we still need to do?
What's that?
The Gunslinger and the Echo Knight for the fighter.
The Echo Knight spawns copies of himself, and the Gunslinger does exactly that. He slings guns.
They have grip points that they can use to change up their shots.
Yep. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, they're not getting a whole lot more out of that because they are fighter subclasses.
I'm just saying they're pretty cool. I played
the only ones that were getting a whole lot out of the fighter were the Eldritch Knight and the Psy Warrior.
I'll tell you what. If you want to know more about the Gunslinger, watch Percy from Critical Role.
Yeah.
You want to know more about the Echo Knight? I can't think of any prominent characters that are.
Reed, I don't know.
Yeah, watch Reed from.
It was our second episode. Okay, it was our first actual class series. Give us a break.
Yeah,
we're too lazy to go back.
Have to downgrade our mics just to go back.
But, I think there is a bit of an announcement that needs to be made.
You're pregnant?
Because I am expecting. Going to be giving birth to a beautiful little boy.
Named Reed.
Yeah.
He's the Echo Knight.
Yeah. Because it's only, 2 months from tomorrow is when I have scheduled for release. Which means we really need to get everything buttoned up and done for this thing in the next couple of weeks. So, me and Jeremiah have put our minds together and have decided to start a second show. It will be called The Dreadful Six, a D&D story. And the story that is going to be told is the story of the campaign that I have been writing for 2 years and my players have been playing in for 2 years. Now, I've had some players come and go, mainly because of jobs and COVID, unfortunately, was still going on. not as heavily when we first started back, but it was still going on, and we had some people that were uncomfortable coming every week, so they decided to drop out, and that's 100% fine. But that's the story that's going to be told. And February 25th is going to be the initial upload of episode 1 of the Dreadful 6. And it's been a lot of work to get the first episode written, but 24 pages and 10,000 words later, it's right at an hour long, which is what I was shooting for. So be sure to keep an eye out on our page. Been awful quiet on the Facebook page here lately because life has been hard.
Yeah.
Here for the past month or so, getting up into the holiday season.
But this story isn't like your regular D&D Storytime podcast.
No,
we are not going to be streaming and you just listening in on our game. This is going to be a narrative, almost shot-for-shot retelling of Rob's impressive game that has been going on for 2 years, with various heroes, villains, and scoundrels interacting with each other in a setting that is quite possibly one of the greatest, if not the greatest. So please wait for that February 25th.
February 25th, 2023, the last Saturday of the month, and we're shooting for monthly releases.
Yes,
because
we're 2 people.
Yeah, because writing, editing, realizing that there's probably going to be over 40 tracks in a single episode. Oh boy.
Yep.
Especially with it being an hour long.
But this time you're doing the editing for that.
Yeah, I'm doing it all, bud.
Yeah.
Except for the recording.
Whew.
I'm giving you a little bit of a break.
Yes.
But yeah.
Here's a fun fact about my editing. I still have to edit the first Druid episode after we're done recording this episode.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So if you're listening to this, guys, just know.
Yeah, because that goes up today.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, you've already listened to. If you've already listened to Druid Part 1, just know at the time of recording this, that's not finished.
Nope. But sometime in between now and the end of January, we'll work on something as a introduction to the story for the Dreadful 6.
A little teaser
and
for you.
Give you an idea as to what it's going to be about.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go into it too much other than there is, like Jeremiah said, a story narrative where it's not a live play, but more like one of the radio shows from the 1950s and 60s, where there is voice acting, there is narration, sound effects, backing tracks, everything.
So that's your cup of tea. Come on down, baby.
Yep. And it will be on its own channel through Spotify. Huge shout out to Soundtrap for being a good recording software.
Yep.
And the ability to directly upload to Spotify. So look for us there, and as soon as we get the first one put together, we'll be sure to let y'all know that it's ready for release in February 25th. The Dreadful 6.
Meantime, keep on rolling high.
And we'll see you next week.
It's D&D!